Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Overcoming Graduation with Brian Drury, a show where I work to teach you everything I wished I'd known about life to help you graduate to the next level in your own. And today is another installment of the Morning Commute, an episode in a new series where I work to take my drives really to anywhere now. It started as my morning drive to work, but now I'm enjoying doing this so much and doing this shorter form podcast that I'm starting to do it on my way to and from things, and it's the manifestation of me calling myself on my own bullshit, which may sound funny, but I was creating a lot of excuses about why I couldn't be putting out new podcast episodes or editing and releasing the existing ones that I have. And it's one of those look in the mirror kind of moments and saying, Brian, what have your coaches taught you? What do you teach people? What do you work to share? And what are the values you want to embody? And also, do you want this in your life? Because sometimes it's a matter of just checking in and saying, all right, do I really want to keep doing this? Is this something I enjoy? Is this something that brings value and something that is really touching people's lives in the way that I want to? And the answer to that was abso-fucking-lutely. It's one of the best things in my life. And I was getting caught up in the minutia and all the little details about, there's a lot to edit and there's a lot of time, and John and I are prepping for our event. I have to dedicate all my time there, which you and I both know 99% of the time when people say, I got to put 100% of my focus there, a good 80% of that time is just geared towards distractions. Then your actual, oh shit, I've got to get things done, or I really need to lean in now. Or even when you sit down to do work, you feel like there's something missing. You feel like there's an aspect of your life being ignored or being neglected. So with this, I said, where do I have time to record and what can I do? And I was inspired by Garrett White of the Warrior on Fire podcast. And what Garrett does is the exact same thing in his morning walk or in the beginning of his day, throws in his iPod earbuds and records an episode while he's walking, while he's out on the trail, whatever it may be. And I realized, I'm like, damn, because I had all these excuses in my head about why I couldn't get started, why it just wouldn't work that way. And I need to have really high quality audio, very clean, no pops, no background noise, no gentle hums from an air conditioner or a fan. People are going to hear that and immediately shut it off. And, you can't have all this background noise. People aren't going to listen. And then I was like, Brian, you listen to the show all the time. You get tons of value. And all he does is frame it up and say, hey, I'm outside. You're going to hear cars going by. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Now that I'm aware, let's get down to it. I want to hear the message. I want to get down to business. And sometimes it's not business. Sometimes business is really what getting down to business means is slowing down and breathing and meditating. Sometimes getting down to business is getting shit done. But it's recognizing that we need all those different aspects of our lives to be in balance. And although we may not be able to focus all of our energy or as much of our energy into one thing as we want to at a certain time, it doesn't mean we can't do it. And one of my favorite quotes is, if it's important to you, you'll find a reason. If not, you'll find an excuse. And so I was like, all right, Brian, game time. You're moved, you're settled in California, so you can't use that excuse anymore. You're in the promotion phase of your event, so you're doing that daily, can't use that anymore. How are you going to make this happen? How are you going to bring this in, and how are you going to incorporate it? So I said, well, why not just do what Garrett does? Tell people I'm driving, so they're going to hear my turn signal, they're going to hear the whir or the whoosh of the car outside, and just fucking go for it, because there's so many messages I want to share, so many things I want to get out, there's valuable things that I could be sharing. And one of my coaches said to me, Peter Scott, said to me, Brian, if you have valuable messages that you're not sharing with the world because of fear, because of excuses, you're doing a disservice to the world. You're holding yourself back because, if the audio quality is not perfect, they're not going to, who gives a fuck? Like, really, it's one of those situations where when we're so afraid of not being perfect that we don't do shit. Just perfect, like that's the real encapsulated kind of underlying source of it, is that, I want it to be perfect, and I want to have perfect sound quality, and I don't want any mistakes, and I want to sound clean and polished, and I blah, blah, blah. Same thing with dance. And you know what? It's like the morning commute, I brought up dance in just about every one of them. But I literally am just driving back from a dance class. And if you want to go into a dance class being an expert and never being challenged, really, that's another piece of this, is trying to avoid challenge. never being challenged, being an expert, never looking dumb, never making a mistake, you will never dance. The best dancers in the world make mistakes. They're just really good at covering it, or they're at such a high level we don't even notice what their mistakes are because they're so minute, but they do make mistakes. The people who have the most fun dancing laugh at the mistakes, and that's a beautiful way to look at life. And that's why this episode I wanted to talk about beginner's mindset, about approaching life with a beginner's mindset, because I just came from a bachata class, so a beginner's bachata class. And I've been dancing Latin dances for about 4 years. And I love it. It is one of the best things in my life. If you listen to any of my episodes, ever since I started dancing, or ever since I started taking more classes, or since I started teaching, it is one of the best things for me. And if you listen to our last episode, it was only by following my curiosity, not my passion, because I couldn't know the passion I would have for it until I let my curiosity draw me to it and took action on that curiosity. And so part of me, so I took my first class last week at this new place. Girl I'm seeing said, oh, there's a Groupon for 10 classes for $50. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I thought I was going to come out here and dance classes were going to be crazy expensive and cost prohibitive. And again, it's only cost prohibitive if we allow it to be, because if it's really a priority, we will find a way to do it. So, bought it up, and then I went and did the intermediate class last time. And I said, you know what? It was a lot of like fancy footwork. And just in general, I don't really do that. I've never learned it. I've never really been a fan of it. I like to be more engaged with my partner and doing more turns and spins and dips. And part of me goes, but also I never knew the other stuff, so it's not like I was going to do stuff I didn't know or I'd never practiced. So, beginner's mindset. Here's the interesting thing. My teacher, my salsa teacher back in Greensboro, who taught me everything and then asked me to help teach, and is the person who really taught me everything I knew about Cuban salsa, like and kizomba, and all of these wonderful fucking dances. Because we didn't really do bachata and merengue lessons or things, but just by going out and being a part of these communities and going to these socials, I picked those things up. So I know bachata, I can dance it, and I incorporate a lot of what I know from salsa or what I know from other dances into it, but I'd never taken classes. And so I took my first class last week, and I liked it. I'm like, I thank God I found a school. They do salsa and LA style salsa and bachata, which I need to learn. LA style salsa, I only know Cuban. And for those of you that aren't familiar, it's a totally different bass step. And so the turns and things will translate, and the background knowledge I have will help, but it is like learning a different dance with the same music. So I found a place, and it's really easy to get caught up in like, well, I've been dancing for 4 years, and I should know these things, so I should be taking intermediate. And I said, nah, tonight I'm taking beginner. Because I saw what they were doing in beginner last time, and I liked it more. I was like, that's more of the partner engagement and some of the turns, dips, drapes, and things that I really like to do. So I went and took that this time, and one beautiful thing I got from it was a tiny little step that I've never done correctly. I just learned tonight. And now I will know for the rest of my life. In that, and I'll see if I can describe this with words. Imagine you're facing your partner. In bachata, you step 3 steps to the right, then tap with your inside foot, and then 3 steps to the left and tap with your inside foot. Generally, you start left first. You go left, so from the lead's perspective, going back and forth. And so we're facing each other, moving backwards and forward, or sideways, right and left and right and left. And then at one point, you do a certain turn where you turn away from the girl so that you're facing away and she's behind you, but your hands are still connected. And so I hope that explanation made sense. But essentially, in that turn, what I'm doing is I'm switching from my footwork to her footwork. And the only way we can match up is if I do this little tap in between where my step would be and where she's about to step. And so this tiny little thing, I was like, no shit. No wonder I would get off sequence every time I turned like that when I've done this in the past. And I found ways to compensate, or kind of delay a little bit, or wait, little things that I could do to work around it. And that's what you learn in dance. That's what you learn in language. That's what you learn in anything new. It's not about knowing how to do everything right. It's about finding creative ways to work around, work through the problems, and then also just have fun with it and play with it, especially in dance. And so I learned about this tiny little step, this little tap, And now a whole new world is opened up to me, because now when I'm doing any of those style of turns where I'm facing away, I'm turning her away from me, I know that tap needs to be there so that we can be in sequence in our steps. So it is a beautiful and powerful thing, because that small thing unlocks so much more. And if I hadn't come in with the beginner's mindset and just said, I'm just going to, no, intermediate, because that's where I should be, I would have missed out on these core fundamentals. Things I've never taken bachata classes. I've never taken, I have taken classes at the beginning of socials, but I've never taken a sequence of beginner bachata classes where we're covering fundamentals. And like so many things, when you learn the fundamentals, all the fancy, crazy, advanced shit that you see becomes so much easier because you have the foundation to build upon. A lot of times people try to skip over the fundamentals to get to the fancy stuff, whether it's in business and dance, in their job hunt, in relationships, whatever. But if you don't have the core you could take a girl on a hot air ballooning trip over Sonoma, California into a vineyard, and then ride lions through the vineyard, and then take jetpacks over to a yacht where you sit in a hot tub for the rest of the night drinking $1 million bottle of champagne. That's the most opulent thing I could think of. But if you can't even talk to her, even that date isn't going to be fun. If you have zero connection, if you haven't built up your ability to communicate with another human being, and in particular someone you're romantically interested in, and learn about her and be genuinely interested in her and share even the most exciting date concept in the world, which that's not for everybody, but you know, you're getting where I'm driving at. Even the most exciting concept in the world suddenly becomes boring. Or it becomes shitty. I often use the example that when you're with your best friends, you could be in the most boring place in the world, but you and your best friends will find a way to make it fun. You could be in a back alley with a dirty dumpster and a tin can, and you would find a way to make it fun. And on the other side of it, you could be in the most exciting place in the world, a rooftop bar in Barcelona with a famous DJ and all these celebrities. But if you were surrounded by shitty people that you didn't connect with and didn't like, you could feel just as alone as someone who's not near anybody, but is surrounded by people. So beginner's mindset enables you to be an eternal learner. There's always new things to pick up. My best coaches and mentors, and the only people that I really continue with as coaches or mentors, are the ones who are constantly learning. Because I met Thiago Vega. He was the coach of my coach at the jiu-jitsu gym where I practiced back when I lived in Wisconsin. And he was I think it was an 8-time world champion Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. He was like 5'6", 135 pounds, this tiny dude, and was absolutely lethal. Unbelievable. And he knew the most subtle things that could have the most devastating effect in a jiu-jitsu fight. One simple trick where he is perpendicular to another person on top of them, arches his back ever so slightly, using his rib cage to press into yours, so it makes it feel like he's 240 pounds crushing down on you, and it prevents you from getting a full breath, so you feel like you can't breathe with this tiny dude on top of you just by arching his back ever so slightly. It's these tiny little things that make you either lethal or beautiful on the dance floor or sexy or fun, because when you're willing to approach life as a beginner and constantly look for ways to improve, not in a self-critical way, which I fall in this trap sometimes of like, you should always be improving, damn it, versus like, how can I make this better? How can I make this more fun? How could I do better next time? Those are much gentler, more fun, more playful, open questions versus trying to force everything to happen. So, I know this is meandering, but this is the excitement that comes when I do the things that I love. And this meandering thought is also part of the connection that I love to make, that my dad has said he sees me as a translator. Not a translator of language, but a translator not only of language, but of concepts and ideas, and bringing things together, that I see so many correlations and things that seem totally different, totally disparate, that most people would look at and go, well, jiu-jitsu and dancing have nothing alike. And it's like, I could give you thousands. I want to say thousands. Someone test me on that. We'll see if we can go into thousands of reasons. But I mean, off the top of my head, I could easily give you 10 very close correlations about how those things are so much more similar than they are different. Here's the other interesting thing. what I've found traveling around the world, I've been to 17 different countries. I've lived in Brazil. I've lived in Spain. I've spent extended times in countries in Asia and Europe and South America and Central America and the Caribbean. I've been to all these different places, and what I find that people are much more similar than we think. Culturally, language, we have food, we have all these differences, but deep down, there is a lot more correlation than people realize. People are working for the same things. People want the same things. People crave the same things, no matter where you are in the world. They may have different ways of showing it. They may have different goals that they put, like different things that are aspirational, or different things that they're working to achieve, maybe physically or monetarily or in terms of possessions. But all those things are driving towards the same things. So when you open your mind and you come at the world with a beginner's mindset and open arms, you realize you can learn anything. You can learn incredible things from people who often are overlooked. From children, from a person working as a cashier at your grocery store, from a person who's homeless, from a person who people call insane. When you don't just dismiss them as misfits, children, non-useful people, when you take the moment to actually acknowledge them as a human being, you'd be amazed what you'll find. You'd be amazed what they will actually bring to the table. You'd be amazed what you will learn about yourself in the process. So I walk away from bachata tonight knowing that one little thing. I'm like, fuck yes, I want to get out and do it more. And guys, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I never knew that tiny little thing. And the teacher even said to me, she's like, you should be taking the intermediate classes. Like, you've got the basics down. And I was like, I have some of the basics down. I was like, but there's a lot of little things that we're doing in this class that I like more. And could I go in there and pick it up? Sure, but the fundamentals are so key in sports, in language, in work, in Excel, in whatever the thing is that you want to learn. The fundamentals help build that foundation in communication, in whatever it may be, in relationships, in dating, in sex. If you don't know where to put it, doesn't matter that you know all these crazy positions. Let's just throw that out there. So, guys, life is better lived with a beginner's mindset. Even experts can come at the world with a beginner's mindset because they're working, like most people are trying to get to the 80, 90%. They're at the 96, 97%, 99%, but they're getting the 0.1 on top of that. They're adding the 0.3 on top of that to get as close to 100 as they can. When they're at 99.9, they're getting the 99.99 to get even closer. That's the true expertise. The person who never stops, never is satiated from their learning, and never believes that they know it all. My greatest teachers are the ones that I respect the most, are the ones who say, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. Because there are whole other worlds in these minute, tiny, infinitesimal little things. So thank you all for joining me today on this morning commute. I love you guys, and I really appreciate you being a part of this and listening in. And I want to work with you in person. And we have that opportunity coming up Saturday, June 30th in Santa Monica, California at the City Garage Theater from 8:45 a.m. to 5 p.m. My friend Jonathan Fisher and I will be putting on our first ever co-hosted live event, Beyond Belief. The whole purpose of this event is to help you to discover the life that is the incredible, beautiful, wonderful life that is beyond your wildest dreams in health, wealth, and relationships. We want to teach you how, in that one day, just through that one day event, to go from maybe not even knowing, maybe having a good idea, but never having taken action on what that thing is, to take you through activities of fun and play and laughter, to by the end of it, have you already taking steps toward a life that is beyond belief from what you currently know. The tickets are priced at $47, and we did this deliberately. We priced it very low because we want to make this as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. We want to fill all 48 seats with people who are ambitious and driven and ready to start creating more in life. You might be scared, you might be uncertain. That's okay. We've all been there. We all experienced that. We want to help you through the fear, through the pain, through the limiting beliefs and mindsets that are holding you back, through things you may not even be aware of right now. We want to bring them to light and help you work through them, reshape them, shift them to the point where by the end of the event, you're laughing at those problems that may have held you down your entire life. Might seem crazy, might seem impossible, but we've done it. John and I both have worked with people all over, all different backgrounds, all different ages, and helped them to find ways to do the internal work, the emotional work, the mental work, but also to create systems and structures to enable them to succeed even when willpower is failing them. If you're ready to take action, don't wait. Don't say, I'll book it later. Don't say, oh, yeah, that sounds great. I'm totally going to book it, because then procrastination comes up. Your rational mind say, oh, $47. Well, you could put that towards this or that. Most people never invest in themselves, and that's why most people never grow into the person they really want to be. My investments in me, I have invested tens of thousands of dollars in my personal development as in my 20s, which is not something most people do. And it has been the greatest decision I've ever made in my life, or one of the greatest decisions I've made in doing that, because those investments in me are investments in my greatest self and investments in me ensuring that I work to do everything I can to serve this world the best possible way I can, and not holding back and not getting caught up in the bullshit. We want to help you with that. So if you're really ready, if you're ready to start, even if you don't feel fully ready, but you want to try, book the ticket. And we have a 100% money back guarantee. If you don't walk away transformed from this event, if you don't walk away feeling happier, lighter, more excited, clearer than you've ever been, clearer than you've ever thought you could be about where you're going next, we will refund 100% of your purchase, no questions asked. This event is for you. We want you to come. We want you to be there. And if you can't physically be there for some reason, maybe you're across the country, if you know people in the Santa Monica, LA area that could benefit from this, in the Orange County area, let them know. Share this with them, because we want to serve and help as many people as we can. And we need your help filling those seats by you booking the tickets and sharing with your friends and following, because when people do come, and the people that do show up and that do book their tickets right now, that reserve their seat and make sure that they get their seat locked up, those are the people who are going to get results, and those are going to be the people that you look at a few months from now and go, holy shit, how did they do it? It starts with one step and one decision, and that decision is to book your tickets today. I love you all, and thank you for listening. If you would like to book your tickets, if you are ready, if you're ready for massive action, you can either visit overcominggraduation.com and click the Book Now, Buy Now button, which is right up at top with a picture of the theater at the top of the webpage. Can't miss it. Or go down to the show notes on your podcast player and click the link that is included right there to go straight to the ticket purchasing page and learn a little bit more about the event. Again, you can visit overcominggraduation.com or go into the show notes for this episode to book your ticket today. And otherwise, guys, thank you all for listening. I love you all. If you have any questions about the event, feel free to reach out to me at brian@overcominggraduation.com. I love you guys. I love sharing this with you. I love sharing this time with you, and I want to share even more. And I want to meet you in person in Santa Monica on Saturday, June 30th, starting at 8:45 and going all day for a day of transformation, laughter, and love. Love you guys. Go get them. Beginner's mindset. Use that beginner's mindset today and see how your world begins to change.